Hi everyone, and welcome back to my top 100 game shows of all time. Today I've got my friend Luna here. Now Luna loves game shows, and Luna's now going to tell me what her favourite game show is. What's your favourite game show? Pets win prizes? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'd like to give a quick shout out to Bothers Bar for hosting this video series on their site. I'm very grateful indeed. Today, lots and lots of classic shows. Should we get on with it? Here is my number 70 to my number 61. So for my number 70, I've picked a format that's got plenty of balls. No, not these balls. These balls.
Lingo. Let's Lingo.
This is Lingo, and here is your host, Martin Daniels.
So my number 70 is the long-term American game show Lingo that made its way over to the UK for two series in 87 and 88, which is a little bit before my time, but I really like the American show. This is quite a similar situation to Concentration, where I just really love the US show and they did a UK version of it, and that's kind of why it's on my list. For those of you that don't know, this game is basically it's all about 5-letter words. So for instance, if I put in the word space, that might not be the right word, but I would be told how many letters were in the word I was looking for and how many were in the wrong place or the right place. So that allows me to work out the word. If I can get that right, then I get the chance to choose some balls from a hopper, and that's where the bingo of this game, Lingo, comes in, and that allows me to hopefully make lines to win points and so on and so forth. And basically, in the end game, that sort of flipped on itself so that you were trying not to make lines, and that allowed you to double your money up to £3,200, which was quite a big prize on TV at that time. Pretty decent. This is a very similar situation to Concentration in that I like both US shows much better than the UK versions, but unlike Concentration, I think this one survived the transition a little better, despite me liking the US version less. So if I was making a US list, Lingo would be below classic Concentration, but on the UK list it's above Concentration. And I sort of don't think this is a brilliantly made version of that show, and that's probably why it didn't survive very long, but the 5-letter word puzzles and the picking balls element of this are a lot of fun, and they're still a lot of fun now, and that is why Lingo is my number 70. So my number 69 is a game show that has now been on for absolutely years, and for very good reason. It's a quizzer's paradise.
These people are amongst the greatest quiz players in Britain. Together they make up the Eggheads, arguably the most formidable quiz team in the country. The question is, can they be beaten? So
my number 69 is Eggheads. I sort of feel like this is almost like the successor to 15 to 1, in that it's the daytime home for people who just love quiz. And that's kind of why I think it's been so successful and been on for so long. But also it was pretty paradigm shifting when it first came on TV. The idea of setting up a quiz gladiators is a very clever idea, and because it was cast so well, it was very easy to sort of respect / hate these guys, and I think that's why it became such compelling TV. The format's very simple, but when you've got such a strong idea as can you beat some of the best quizzes in the UK, that's an incredibly exciting top line, and that's why this show was such a hit. I don't personally sort of watch it a lot anymore. I know a lot of people don't either, but that doesn't mean I didn't watch it for years, and it was a very good companion to The Simpsons when that was on BBC Two. And I have a lot of respect for this format. I have a lot of respect for how much character it brought back into quiz. I sort of feel like it had been lost a little bit before then, but this brought it back home. It was like, yes, you know, here's these mean bad guys, and that was really exciting. I think the format of it is simple but works really well. I really like that end game where they have to, you know, they're trying to get people through to the end game, but oh my god, the Eggheads are down to only 2 brains, can we get them this time? And that sort of rolling jackpot. It's just a very steady quiz, but it was a steady quiz based on such an exciting top line, so it seems quite normal now, but it really was quite genre defining, and that's why Eggheads is my number 69. Also, it was host to one of the greatest quiz show answers of all time.
Very good round. 3-all into sudden death. Ben. Ciudad Guyana, an important industrial port complex, is a city in which South American country?
That kind of sounds African. It's difficult because there's a lot of the countries sort of have a Spanish or Portuguese heritage, and that could be that language. I'll go for Venezuela.
Unbelievable. It's the right answer. I think you better join the Eggheads, Ben. Got something there. Fantastic.
No need to applaud. I hear it in my head all the time. So guys, number 68. Get your air guitars out because the theme to this show is really, really good.
Wheel of Fortune. With Nikki Campbell and Carol Smiley.
Oh, it's really good to see you. Welcome to the all-new Wheel of Fortune. One spin of this wheel could well mean an incredible win. What are those prizes, Steve?
It's a treasure trove tonight, Nikki. We have this stylish top-of-the-range convertible Jeep. And, of course, the big Wheel Fortune of £10,000.
You heard it. It's the cash plus the car.
So my number 68 is absolute game show classic, The Wheel of Fortune. Why is this on my list? It's an interesting one, this, because to me this is like the epitome of what people imagine a game show to be. Like big, brash, flashy, bit cheesy. Wheel of Fortune is all those things and more though. I just like the fact that this game show doesn't pretend to be anything but a game show. It's just fantastic. I love the set, I love how colourful it is. This show had lots of different hosts. Obviously Bradley Walsh hosted it at one point. I think all the hosts were good at this show. And the sort of hangman puzzles at the centre of the show were just really fun to try and solve. One of my favourite things about the show, and it's quite ahead of its time, is just how quickly it gets into the gameplay. Look, I'm going to show you a clip. See how quickly it takes for it to go from the theme song into the gameplay.
Who are those fortune hunters?
They are Kim Nibble from Fife. She's a midwife expecting a happy delivery by the end of the show. Roman Sidney from Guernsey loves woodworking and wants to carve a niche on the wheel. And Sherry Pegram from Bury St Edmunds is a student who loves opera and she wants to hit that high note tonight.
Good luck to Kim, Roman and Sherry. Let's play the game.
You see what I mean? Look, you don't need to have loads of chat. It's just like, look, I quite like the look of Beardy Man. I'm rooting for Beardy Man. Let's get on with the show. That's great. That's really like a modern sensibilities in that show. But all that cheese, that sort of layers of Emmental that are sort of through this format, those like amazing prize VTs where they're like, a guy's like going,
Yes, Nicky. Well, actually, I've still got one of those cars even now. Now, Robin, for the home, study or for the office, what about this filing cabinet, red leather top desk in yew? A very attractive piece of furniture which might suit you down to the ground. Or you could check the FT index on this check chair, which I'm assured has ball and claw legs. Hang on a second, did he not used to be a double X somewhere? Now, what about keeping in touch with the 90s with this state-of-the-art fax phone answering machine? Tell me, Nicky, are you still doing those messages on other people's answering machines just to make a bob or two?
it's just, they're just so funny. They're just like, it's just so ridiculous how they sort of try to theme them. It's like, oh, we'll have all kitchen items, and then the model will come in and go, oh, look, a fridge freezer, and oh, but what about this rocking horse that's randomly in the corner of the kitchen? Love all that stuff about it. Love the wheel, like all the bonuses that were on the wheel, like the end game. The set is incredibly kind of European looking, but I think it sort of works for this. You sort of buy it's kind of quite sort of cheesy in that. I'm not so much into the hangman puzzles to make this so totally compelling that it needs to be higher on my list, but this game show fully understands that those hangman puzzles aren't enough on its own. Maybe other game shows could learn from that. Either way, Wheel of Fortune is just a wonderful game show that is the epitome of game show, and that is why it's my number 68. So, for my number 67, it's time to say, lights, camera, action!
You seen John, guys? No, I can't find him. Electrics, you seen John?
Well, no, Royston, I haven't.
Oh, we can't start the show without him. I wonder where he is.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I'll present the show.
Oh, brilliant, Electrics. I wonder where John is.
Look over there somewhere.
So my number 67 is the movie game that used to go out on CBBC. This show was on for a very long time. It had two different hosts. Obviously, in its later years, like I've just shown you, it had John Barrowman, but it's probably more famous for Philip Schofield hosting it. This was a really great kids game show, but it's the fact that it's so strongly held onto its Hollywood theme at a time when Hollywood seemed more exciting to kids than anything else. It was kind of like, you know, every kid wanted to go to Disneyland and Universal Studios, and the movies and at that time were just getting bigger and bigger, and this show just played into that whole excitement, and it did a marvellous job of that. So this game was basically, it was a test of movie knowledge, but also allowed us to have fun with movies. So it's kind of in this sort of studio that kind of looks a bit like a movie set. You'd have three teams, the red team, the green team and the yellow team, and in the first round they would just answer questions about movies, and this was a great chance to get clips on a show of Hollywood movies, which seems really like exciting in the context of just a kids game show, and they do like observation questions and stuff like that. That was really good. You'd lose a team, and then the really exciting bit was the two surviving teams would come down and they'd walk on a sort of board game board, which is a little bit like a movie, you know, like a strip of film going around the studio, and basically, you know, they'd play games. And this is a little bit similar to Me to You in that they would hit like spot prizes, and they would hit places where they'd have to go off and go backstage and do special games where they have to dress up or like act out movie scripts, and they'd get you to move, you know, more spaces based on that. This was just so much fun to watch. One of my favourite things about the movie game is they used to have this ridiculous final where they'd bring back all the winners, but they'd have more winners than they would have on a normal episode. So in a normal episode you'd only have 3 teams, but when you got to the final you had 6 teams, which means breaking out some new colours. You'd have a blue team, a white team and an orange team, and I don't know why, but to a kid that was just really exciting. I'd like to see more game shows do that, sort of break their own conventions and go, you know what, we're having a grand final with more players. I just think it's quite exciting and a good idea. Philip Schofield was great as the host of this. John Barrowman was good as well. This was just a way of getting excited about movies, more show than just a game show. And I think that's why it's on my list this high, and that is why Movie Game is my number 67. So, for my number 66, it's a game show a lot of people have been asking about since they've noticed I've been putting a lot of kids' game shows on my list. Well, my number 66 is right here, right now, and is about to make a monkey out of all of you.
3 brave explorers, willing to risk everything in their quest to rescue treasure from the Temple of the Jungle King. Welcome to Jungle Run. Come on, guys, this way.
So my number 66 is Jungle Run. I like this game show more for what it became rather than what it started as. So when it started, it was pretty much just a kid's crystal maze, which is a noble endeavour but isn't that original or exciting, but it was still good to watch. But later on it became a lot better and stronger. For those who haven't seen it, basically 3 friends would go into the jungle and they'd be guided around and they'd play a number of games where they try to accrue monkey statues, aka crystals, and they would attempt to win time to go into the Temple of the Monkey King, aka the Crystal Dome. The games and the set, though, were amazing, sort of phenomenal. I think, you know, it's a co-production between a lot of companies, and that's why the set's so good, and that really helps it. I think the games were good at the start, but later series, the game sort of involved more cooperation, more players getting trapped in the games, more like difficult decisions for the players, and I think that made it a much more interesting game show and a much more interesting watch. And I prefer this game show much more than, say, the kids' specials of Fought by Art. I think one thing I really like is there's this ruby monkey statue, and if they find that, then that's worth 30 seconds rather than 10 seconds in the end game, and that's like a like really exciting moment when that arrives. I actually think Crystal May should steal that idea and have a red crystal somewhere in its maze. I think it's quite an exciting idea. The real star of the show, though, is the end game, which is the Temple of the Monkey King. Basically, when the belly opens, the kids run in, and basically they're trying to retrieve a monkey statue. So there's like a few chambers, and the deeper and deeper they go into it, there's a bronze monkey statue, a silver one, and a gold one. And if they can bring back the gold one, they'll probably win a mini-disc player. But what's quite good about these chambers is that the games inside them are incredibly simple and don't take that long to complete. They maybe, like, a good team will only take like 20 seconds or something to complete them, but you could get stuck on them. But basically, when you heard a sort of certain sound, it means there's 20 seconds left and everyone has to escape. And this scramble out is really exciting because, of course, if you're deeper into the temple, then you've been tempted further and further in, then it's much harder to get out. And kids often get trapped, and kids often cry, and that's quite funny. Maybe I'm cruel. But that endgame really makes this show for me. I actually think it's a better endgame than Crystal Maze. And that's why Jungle Run is my number 66. So my number 65 is a good reminder that whilst we can be really passionate about what's on TV, remember guys, it's only a game show.
It's only a game, so put up a real good fight. I'm gonna be snookering you tonight. I'm playing for my aim, so you better believe I'm right. I'm gonna be snookering you tonight. Take break!
Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Davidson.
So my number 65 is Big Break, hosted by John Virgo and a man we don't like very much anymore. The reason I like this show and why it's on my list is because I really, really like each and every single round in this game show. Weirdly, I think I like each round more than the whole game show together. Sort of, it's almost like less the sum of its parts. I don't quite know how to describe that. But yes, I love all the games in this. I love that pot as many balls as you can game at the start, and John Virgo being so glib about that. I also think it's really entertaining to watch John Virgo do a trick shot with a punter and that winning them a special prize if they can achieve that. There's that really good middle round where they try and pot coloured balls for money, and that's like instigates like quiz questions for their partner.
He's proved me wrong. No.
Miss Red. OK, Bill, now, is Macaulay Culkin or Gary Coleman the star of Home Alone, the film?
No.
No. Is Macaulay Culkin or Gary Coleman? Which one? First or the second?
Second.
Second? It's actually the first one, Bill. Hang on. Right. Who presents Did You See? Clive Anderson or Jeremy Paxman?
Paxman.
Paxman. Correct. Play.
Miss Red.
Oh, good. Right. Too long. Which new Avenger joined Jennifer Saunders in Absolutely Fabulous? Diana Rigg or Joanna Lumley?
Lumley.
Joanna Lumley. Correct. Play.
And I really love that. And the end game where they're trying to pot all the colours to win the prizes is really fun also. There's not too much more to say, I don't think. I just think it's such a solid game show with all these great rounds. It's such a shame that Jim Davidson is associated with this show, because this game show, in my opinion, is a better game show than Bullseye, which is so celebrated. But I still love it, and that's why my number 65 is Big Break. So, you were probably expecting me to do my number 64 next, but here's something unusual and thrilling. I've got a joint 63rd one. I try to separate these two formats, I simply can't, and that's because they both have the same host and the same flavour. Here they are.
Time to be whittled. And here's the man to whittle you down, Tim Vine.
So there you go, guys. A joint 63rd there. Two Tim Vine shows, Fluke and Whittle. The reason I keep coming back to these shows is really because of the talent, and it sort of shows to you guys at home how important talent can be to a show. I probably wouldn't have watched Fluke and Whittle if it wasn't for Tim Vine. Actually, Whittle, in Whittle's case, there was Everybody's Equal, which was hosted by Chris Tarrant, and I didn't watch that. But this cheap, nasty Channel 5 version, I did, because I love Tim Vine. Tim Vine is brilliant on both these shows. Let me talk about Fluke first. So Fluke is really exciting and funny because it's a game show all about luck. There's nothing more to it than that. It's just if you win, you've got lucky. I love that. It's so funny. They've got this amazing, and I mean amazing, opening game. I'm probably going to try and show it to you now. It's called the Bit of a Wasted Journey pointer. Basically, they spin a wheel right at the start of the show, and it points at one of the contestants, and they go home straight away. That's just great. That's just fantastic. I wish we did that on more game shows. Every game show should have a bit of a wasted journey pointer, especially if it's a boring game show. They should all have that. Great. And just all the things were totally ridiculous. It'll be like, am I holding an apple or a satsuma under my armpit? Apple. No, it was a satsuma. It was just that level of insanity. But it was just really entertaining to watch. And they had this great thing where whoever won the show would become the Duke of Fluke. They would have to wear a crown, and they would come back for next week's show, which was really funny. And weirdly, that same person would often win again, showing some people are just very lucky in life. Love that about Fluke. Whittle on the same hand, Tim Vine sort of knew it was naff, knew it was rubbish, but he didn't care. He sort of decided to thread that through all his material, sort of refer to the rubbish prize money all the time. And that's great, and that's because of that you're finding the whole experience entertaining rather than just a bit underwhelming. And Tim, like, taking the mickey out of all the contestants' wrong answers and stuff. It's just a brilliant watch, and it so wouldn't work without Tim Vine. It's very much his baby. And the same with Fluke. It is a game show, just about. It feels like it's a comedy show, but it is a game show. And without Tim Vine, these shows just simply don't work. But he was there, they did work, and that's why Fluke and Whittle are my joint 63rd place. So for my number 62, you might as well give in, guys. It's time to embrace the chaos.
The crowd are wild.
So my number 62 is the CITV Titan, that is Finders Keepers, hosted by Neil Buchanan. I loved this show as a kid. I still absolutely love it now. I think its main strength is the fact that the raiding rooms element of just like chaotically running through a room trying to find something is totally unique to this show, and you can't get that anywhere else, and I think that's to its benefit. Love the set. This set is this massive house. It's in the studio that they've sheared the front off, and that allows you to see all the rooms. I love all the music in the show. There's a really like exciting theme song, and that's like sort of threaded through all these like crazy raids. Love that. Love how involved the audience are in this. That sort of, you know, they're really shouting, and that all plays into this real sort of maelstrom of kiddie chaos that's like throughout the show. They've got all these different rooms. They've got like the kitchen and the study and the kids' bedroom, but they've also got like this mystery room that could be different things. So it could be like one time it'd be space, another time it'd be jungle. So it's like, you know, and that sort of made sure it wasn't the same house every week. So that was really entertaining to watch. And then they just had this great end game where they try and do like one massive raid, trying to go through all the rooms, and it'd be really like, you'd be like real scream at the TV stuff going, no, can't you see it's behind you, because we had the arrows pointing to where all the items they were looking for were, and that's just so much fun. I actually think Neil Buchanan is such a big point why this show works so well. He doesn't forget to speak to us, the audience, so it would be very easy to lose us, the audience, in this absolute chaos, but he talks to us and sort of makes sure we're in the know when the contestants are making idiots of themselves, and that's just wonderful. It's such a strong kids game show. It's one that I think's aged quite well, and that's why Finders Keepers, Losers Weepers is my number 62. Okay, number 61. Keep calm, everyone. Keep calm. Keep calm. Keep calm.
One contestant hooked up to a heart monitor, 7 challenges, £25,000, and 1,000 of your own heartbeats counting down.
True.
Hold your nerve, breathe deeply, and keep calm. Ah, no. Because the quicker your heart beats, the faster your time runs out. Can you handle the pressure?
This is 1,000 heartbeats.
So my number 61 is 1,000 Heartbeats, one of my favourite modern game shows. The games at the centre of the show aren't that original, but everything else is, and that's why I think this is so compelling. So first of all, we've got that amazing sell, that you've only got 1,000 of your own heartbeats to beat the games. That's great. That's a really exciting top line, one of the most exciting top lines I've probably heard since I've been in TV. The fact that the games are difficult under pressure, but you need to keep yourself as calm as possible to win, because you need as much time as you can get, and you need to slow your heartbeats down to do that, is really interesting and fun. Love a lot of the games. I think a lot of the games are really interesting. I really don't. There's that one game which takes like 5 minutes or something. That's ridiculous. They should take that out. But all the other games I really, really like. I think it's got some really interesting decisions in it. So it's like, you know, like you've got 2 minutes left, but you still need to cash out. Is that enough time? I think that's really good. A lot of the stuff in this show is quite generic, like the hosting and also the games, but the real star of the show is the music. So this show has this amazing orchestral soundtrack, and that plays to the speed of your heartbeat. What a clever idea. That's just amazing to me. But also that soundtrack is a great soundtrack. It's got a great theme song, this show, but that soundtrack plays through all the games and sort of gets more and more intense the deeper into the game you get, and also the faster your heartbeat goes. Paul Farrer, who's the composer and the inventor of the show, has done a fantastic job making this feel fresh, different, unique, and that's why this show is my number 61. So 40% of my list is now done, 60% to go. I'm super excited to show you more, but I'll see you next week for another video. But for now, cheery bye!